Hello. This is the story about a boy named Andy who likes different things from everyone else, and is bullied for it, but throughout the story he finds his confidence and solves his problems. The story, Andy the Brave. The tale of courage and friendship. Once upon a time in a bustling town, there lived a boy named Andy. Andy was a quiet, thoughtful boy who loved to draw, collect rocks, and read books. His sketchbook was filled with amazing drawings of imaginary worlds, and his room was lined with shelves of rocks he had gathered from his many adventures. However, Andy's classmates didn't understand his hobbies. They preferred playing sports and video games. To them, Andy's interests seemed strange and boring. This misunderstanding led to bullying. The kids at school often teased Andy, calling him names and mocking his drawings and collections. One day, during lunch, Andy was sitting alone under a tree, sketching a beautiful landscape. A group of boys approached him. "Hey, Andy, still playing with rocks and drawing your silly pictures," one of them jeered, snatching Andy's sketchbook. "Give it back," Andy pleaded, his heart sinking. The boys laughed and tossed the sketchbook between them, tearing a few pages in the process. Andy felt tears welling up in his eyes, but he refused to cry in front of them. He retrieved his damaged sketchbook and ran home, feeling more alone than ever. The next day, Andy discovered a new student named Tim sitting alone in the cafeteria. Tim looked nervous and out of place, much like Andy had felt on his first day. Andy decided to approach him. "Hi, I'm Andy," he said with a shy smile. "Mind if I sit here?" Tim looked up and smiled back. "Sure, I'm Tim." They started talking, and Andy learned that Tim loved reading too. They exchanged book recommendations and found they had a lot in common. For the first time, Andy felt like he had a friend who understood him. A few weeks later, during recess, Andy saw the bullies cornering Tim near the playground. They were taunting him, just as they had done to Andy. A surge of anger and determination filled Andy. He knew he couldn't let this continue. Taking a deep breath, Andy marched over to the bullies. "Leave him alone," he shouted, his voice steady despite his pounding heart. The bullies turned to Andy, sneering. "What are you going to do about it, boring Andy?" One of them said. Andy stood his ground. "I'm not boring, and neither is Tim. We have hobbies and interests that make us unique. Just because we're different doesn't mean you can treat us badly." The bullies laughed, but Andy didn't back down. "Everyone deserves respect. Bullying is wrong, and I'm not afraid to say it." Other kids began to gather around, watching the scene unfold. Some of them, inspired by Andy's bravery, started to speak up too. "Yeah, leave them alone," one girl shouted. "Bullying isn't cool," another boy said. The bullies, realizing they were outnumbered and losing their grip, finally backed off and walked away. Tim looked at Andy with gratitude. "Thanks, Andy. You're really brave." Andy smiled. "No one deserves to be bullied, Tim. We should always stand up for each other." News of Andy's courage spread throughout the school. More and more kids started to appreciate Andy for who he was. They admired his drawings, listened to his book recommendations, and even showed interest in his rock collection. Andy's confidence grew, and he began to make more friends. One day, during art class, Andy's teacher announced a school-wide art contest. Andy decided to enter, using his sketchbook to create a mural that depicted a world where everyone was accepted for who they were. He worked tirelessly, pouring his heart into the drawing. On the day of the contest, Andy's mural was displayed in the school hall. It was a masterpiece, showing people of all different interests and backgrounds coming together in harmony. The judges were impressed, and Andy won first place. At the awards ceremony, Andy was asked to give a speech. He stood on the stage, looking out at the faces of his classmates, and took a deep breath. I used to think being different was a bad thing, he began. But now I know that our differences are what make us special. We should never be afraid to be ourselves or to stand up for what's right. Bullying is never okay, and we need to support each other and celebrate our unique interests. The audience erupted in applause. Andy's bravery had inspired not only his classmates but also the teachers and parents who were there. From that day forward, the school became a place where everyone felt accepted and valued. The end. Andy's story teaches us that courage isn't about being the strongest or the loudest. It's about standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. By being true to ourselves and supporting others, we can make our world a kinder, better place. What do you think about this story? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for listening.